radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition. Strap in. You're about to listen to
The Animal House.
Your mother's an animal.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
What do you care? You're an animal. You're an animal.
Yeah.
I'm an animal.
Yeah.
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
I feel the need for speed.
Raving speed!
The opinions expressed by the hosts, callers, and guests are not those of Hamilton Radio, Armed Forces Radio, Raw Talk Online, 102 DLG Radio Orlando, QStarFM.com, or Animal House Radio. Some of the material broadcast on Animal House Radio may not be suitable for listeners under the age of 18. Listener discretion is advised.
Live from the Theodore Chicken Studio, it's the Animal House Radio Show, and now here's your host, Carlo the Wild Thing Valerio.
Hello. How are you?
Might not know it now.
Hello, Paul.
Hello, Dave.
Good
How are
evening.
you? Hello, Tim.
Hello. If you're watching this live, I put on whiteout instead of cologne tonight.
There you go.
Ooh, smart move.
Mike Nesmith, more money in his pocket.
Are you trying to say that you're a racist, that you put on white out? What's wrong with black
No,
out?
it's white out.
Oh, okay.
So he's not a racist.
Good evening.
So it's like Get Out, but, for
Get
cologne.
out. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another show. We have a great show for you lined up.
Great show.
We have two great, really comedic actors who are very talented.
Thank you.
Yes, Tim Eli sitting in for the summer, and hopefully he sticks around a little longer. We'd love to have him. He was always the breakout star from the Robbinsville train wreck, so glad to have him aboard.
So
Yeah, a room full of men love to have me. Put women in here. Hashtag Me Too shirts on sale.
You notice there's no girls in here.
Yeah.
Tim, I got one word for you, Tinder.
Somebody was talking about that today, too, man. I'm telling you.
Well, there's always Carla Varola. We gave you a shot. You had the keys to the kingdom, and you blew it.
You know how just for the audience, real quick, I sent Carlo a private message today. I got kicked in the sack again today.
I don't know. What is that all about?
What was his name?
You always have 20.
So what happened? You were friends with this person.
For a couple years, yeah. And she's like the prettiest woman I've seen,
All right. Is she local, or is she like Tawny Katane, where you're.
Oh, yeah, she's within this hemisphere. And
She's on this planet, in other words.
Yeah. I just decided, hey, the time, man, enough. So I just kind of broached the subject today. Right. And she said, get out of here, you fat bastard. So
No, she didn't. I think you're exaggerating.
You saw it wasn't good. I sent it to Carlo. I was like, I am a loser and a fool.
I don't think so. Hello, Nancy C.A. Hello, Darlene.
You're not a fool.
Renas.
You gotta keep on trying, Tim. Just keep going.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? There's plenty of fish in your sea.
Yeah, and they stink like it.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you should go to the bay.
There you go. No, the bay's worse.
Go to the spa.
Especially in Seaside.
Yeah, when their feminine hygiene is bacala, I mean, it's
Hello to Darlene Renas. Oh, by the way, tonight's show is brought to you by Francesca's Italian Deli, 2119 Whitesville Road in Toms River. The number to call is 732-363-5555. I want to give a special shout out to Ross, Chef Ross and his wife. It's their anniversary today. So
wow, that's great.
happy
Congratulations.
anniversary to them.
How many
And
years? Do we know?
I don't know. Unfortunately, I didn't get that. I didn't ascertain that. Write that down. Ascertain.
Ascertain.
There you go.
That's when you got bad hemorrhoids, right? Ascertain. You take that
yes,
stuff there.
Oh.
That comes with those little round pads.
Yeah.
With wings?
Yeah. And tonight is the Warrior of the Week for tonight's show is U.S. Army retired Major Steve Renus. He's our Warrior of the Week,
Hey,
and we want to thank him.
All right, Steve.
Yes, Steve's good guy, very good friend of the show, very loyal supporter.
Great photographer, too.
Great photographer, great mug maker.
Videographer.
He made us our Animal House coffee mugs, which are they were a hit worldwide.
Yes.
And Darlene, they always come out and support, and they listen as often as possible. So
Yep, good
Steve
people.
Renus is our Warrior of the Week. Thank you for your service and your dedication to our
right.
country.
What does he get for that?
My respect, first of all. Seriously,
Yes,
yeah, my
definitely.
respect.
He gets to have his name mentioned in lights.
In lights?
Yes.
Okay, we have to get some lights in.
We don't have good lighting here. We're lucky we got cameras here. But we had a great week last week. Sunday night. Was it Sunday or Saturday, Dave?
Saturday you went?
Saturday, yeah.
No.
Yes, Saturday.
Saturday,
No,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, Saturday we went out to the Brooklyn Bowl.
Brooklyn Bowl.
Actually, that was Friday, actually.
Was it Friday?
Yeah, because I was off, then I got the last minute thing.
That's right, Friday. I'm way off. Okay.
Saturday I was in the barn.
Last week we had, for those of you who know, we had Patty Smythe.
The Warrior.
Smythe on. Great interview, a lot of energy. She was so great to us, and she invited us out to her show on Friday night. We went out to the Brooklyn Bowl, and I'm still on the fence.
What's in the bowl?
Brooklyn Trout.
It was a nice place. It was very
intimate,
very hipsterish, and you know.
It was outside?
Meatless sub sandwiches, you know, the usual.
Yeah, it was that kind of menu.
But that was outside?
No,
No,
it
no,
was
I thought you
inside.
said you
It's
went
like a
outside.
bowling alley.
Bowling
inside.
alley / concert venue.
Yes, and they bowling while the band's on, which I don't get. So, but
Yeah.
Well, it's a bowling alley. How do you not get that?
Especially Patty
no, but I
Smythe.
mean, if you're gonna hold a show, then you suspend the bowling.
No, you lose out money that way. Why would you do that? If you owned a business, would you give up that much money?
If I
For
was
Patty Smythe.
if people are paying $20 to come in, to
They're
see
paying
the band-
$25 to bowl.
And plus all the drinks.
Yeah, plus
Well,
drinking.
people- well,
Those
liquor.
people are spending a lot of money too.
Well, people that are seeing a show are drinking.
And you
too,
got the
not
leagues,
just
you got the
not
leagues.
just
Yeah, you
the
have
bowlers.
both. That interrupted like twice.
No, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It wasn't.
No,
as
it could have been a
bad.
lot worse
Yes.
considering.
I heard that in between the songs, they would reset the pins.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
somebody would yell out, "Steer right!" And
Turkey!
There was a historical moment on Friday. Dave had the world's worst egg cream.
Yes.
In New York? That's unusual.
In Brooklyn, of all places.
That's unusual.
He's like, "Let me try it," and he's
I'm like, yeah, you know, it's Brooklyn. It can't be that
you're
bad.
right.
Really? Yeah.
You're
Goddamn
right, man.
hipsters ruin everything.
Yeah.
That's where it was invented, too. That's amazing.
Yeah,
And
they
yeah.
ruin everything, these hipsters.
the nachos were a little too spicy.
I
were-
liked spicy.
Oh, you
though.
liked that?
Yeah, it was good, though.
You ate them, and then like 10 minutes later, you were hungry again. It was like Chinese food.
Well, I also had to go to the bathroom, so it didn't help, you know. I emptied it all right out.
It went right through.
The bad egg cream didn't help.
Where'd you go, in the gutter?
Yes. Gutter balled it.
But she was very nice to us after the show. She looked very tired. She's been performing a lot.
Plus, she had laryngitis, remember, the week before?
Yeah, we had her on the show.
Days before.
Yeah, she
Wednesday until Friday.
Well,
Yeah.
she just strained her voice. I think she sounded great. A lot of people would not agree with that. I think she sounded great considering the crowd was great and she was super nice to us, and it was just.
That's all that counts.
Listen, growing up, you're listening to her music and her band and all that stuff in the '80s. To be able to meet these people now, years ago, that was never a possibility unless you.
No,
were
they
like-
just put you out to pasture back then. That's why. Now they know it's the only source of income they have, so they're willing to go out till they're, you know, on their canes on stage. And they're 78 years old trying
I'm
to
not
perform
saying
for
you're
everybody.
wong, but this is Patty Smythe, man. She's in a class by herself.
Yeah,
really
she is.
You're
She
right,
is. I'm-
Dave.
yeah.
I know.
I mean, how many times is Barbara Streisand going to retire? You know what I mean? Same thing.
Right.
And she doesn't even need the money.
She has been retiring for 30 years.
She's giving Brett Favre a run for his money because
Yes.
he retired like 20 times too.
And they've got the same stubble on their faces too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was.
Hers is a little longer.
Well,
If I could turn back time.
listen, I'm just one man's opinion. What did you
Really?
think, Dave?
That's just one?
She looked pretty good for her age.
I mean, like,
she didn't look a day over 50.
She looks great for her age. And how did she sound considering?
She looked good. She sounded good. She put on a good show. She was good to the audience. You can't ask for much more in a show.
And she treated us like royalty.
And even with that one girl that tried to steal the microphone when she was trying to be friendly.
Oh yeah.
During the Warrior. Because she was trying to get the audience to get involved in singing. Of course, she went to where all the ladies were, and that makes sense as a female singer. And they went out. She went out there, and the one girl she handed the microphone to the girl, and she just grabbed it and was trying not to let go.
She wanted her 15 seconds of fame.
That 15 seconds, she sounded good.
Yeah.
She didn't ruin it, which is good, because that would have been embarrassing. It'd be like if I took her like.
We had extra tickets.
Karaoke.
So Steve Keller reached out to me. Gene, turn my mic up just a tad. He reached out to me and said that. A friend of his wanted to come. I said, sure, I have extra tickets. So she came. Her name is Ariana. Very nice girl.
I love that name, too.
Very nice girl. It's just that she didn't stop talking as soon as we met her. And I wonder if she's going to give me singing lessons or if she does private lessons.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh, man. But I kept my cool. We had a fun time.
$7,000 I charge.
Yeah, right. But we had a great time, and I want to thank her again. I want to thank David Spiro, her manager, and Ryan, her tour manager. It was definitely a nice night out for a Friday night. I got to hang out with my good friend Mark DeRogatis. I haven't seen him in years. So we had fun, and Dave had a really bad egg cream. I would have made them take it off the bill, Dave. Say, yo, what are we doing here?
You could have asked him.
There's no excuse for a bad egg cream.
Are you one of those people that if you get something bad, you're not going to return it?
No, I just don't go back.
I'll never order from there again. I'll never go there again.
You won't order the place, or you just won't order that item?
I won't go back.
I won't go back to the place.
I'm the same way. I get bad food somewhere, I don't go back.
Well, what would have to happen if that happened? If it just
let me put it this way: it would actually have to taste terrible, and
that's what I'm saying. Is it just a matter of like the service was terrible?
The service was good. They serve, they quick service. I got everything. It just wasn't.
They didn't make it right. They didn't make it right.
Very little seltzer in it.
It looks like
that's what it has to have. A lot of seltzer.
That's what I'm saying. They put like the bare minimum, but a ton of chocolate.
Maybe the seltzer was flat already. Maybe it wasn't a bad.
That's even worse then.
Yeah.
I don't know,
but you only get one shot at the champs, so they missed out.
Yes.
That's a fair analogy, man. I like that.
What did I have there? I ordered the mac and cheese balls as an appetizer.
They were good.
I didn't like them because they weren't that Kraft, that orange macaroni and cheese that everybody knows and loves. It was them, that white cheddar shells.
Yeah.
I didn't care for it. Like, I'm used to eating at the Cheeseburger. They have these macaroni and cheese bites. It's on the kids menu, and when I worked there part time, I fell in love with them. So
you order from the kids menu and you play with dolls. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, well, because of the gastric bypass, and I don't play with dolls. I collect them, and they're not dolls; they're collectibles. So let's not go down that.
Collectible dolls.
All right. All right. I guess that's a compromise in a certain way.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get we got a great show for you lined up tonight. Tonight we have Jamie Farr from MASH.
Yeah, Klinger.
And later on in the show we have Burton Gilliam. So it's gonna be a great show.
From Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, that's right. Fletch also. I know he was good in Fletch.
Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Farr.
Yeah, is this Carlo?
Yes. How are you?
Oh.
I'm fine. I'm sitting here with my dog tags in front of me.
There you go. All right, everybody.
Where are you calling from? Washington D.C.?
No, we're actually in New Jersey.
Outside the Trenton area.
New Jersey. Okay, yeah.
Yes. Okay, everybody. It is 8:45. Joining us now on the phone is a legendary actor. He's a phenomenal actor, stand-up comedian. You've seen him and known him on TV and in movies, and he's taken some time out of his busy schedule. I know I've been a big fan of his for many years, as I'm sure all of you are. Please give a warm welcome for the first time on the Animal House Radio Show, Mr. Jamie Farr.
Yeah, thank you, Carlo. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I believe when you spoke to my agent, he told you that I was with Armed Forces Radio.
Yes.
And I was there at the Far East Network in 1957 through 1959.
Wow.
And I think it was late 1958 or very early 1959 when we opened up the Armed Forces television in Korea.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was when it was called AFRTS, right? There was a TV service too, right?
No, we started the TV service. I came from Far East Network, Osakamachi, Japan. That's where I was stationed. And then I went to Korea a couple times, once with Red Skelton in the summertime to entertain the troops. the comedian Red Skelton. And then the second time was in the wintertime to open up Armed Forces Television. And I had a bunch of my buddies that I had taken basic training with at Fort Ord, California. They unfortunately got Korea as their mainstay, and I was fortunate enough to be standing in line when I gave them my MOS and got stationed in Japan. But I did go temporary duty to Korea a couple times.
Wow, that's amazing. You know what? And I excuse my ignorance, Mr. Farr, because I know you played one on TV, but I never knew that you were an actual veteran, and I just want to say thank you for that.
Yeah, that's.
Oh yeah, as I said, I'm looking at my dog tags. I got US 56288-300, and it's under my legal name, my birth name, Jamil Farah.
Right.
And I'm type B blood, and I'm Orthodox Christian. I was watching recently on the news where those dog tags came back to one of the Korean veterans' children.
Yeah.
And they were very precious to them. And I brought mine out. I actually wore my dog tags, these dog tags, on the TV series MASH for 11 years.
Oh, no, it's cool.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Mr. Farr, is it all right if I call you Jamie?
Yes, of course. I'm sorry. I should have corrected you.
No,
by all means, call me Jamie.
I want to be respectful, but that's awesome. What was it like? I know you started out as a stand-up comedian. What was it?
No,
like?
I did not start out as a stand-up comedian. I loved stand-up comedians growing up. The Bob Hopes and the Danny Kays and the Red Skeltons and a lot of George Burns, etc. But I started out in comedy, and then I attended the Pasadena Playhouse after I got out of high school. That's the theatrical school in Pasadena.
Right.
And actually, I was taught to you can't do what I was intending to do, which is not stick to the scripts that you had with plays. So I would change it. No, you can't do that. You're working with another person who's an actor. You have to say the dialogue that's written, and then that kind of defeated any kind of thoughts I had of trying to be a stand-up comic.
Oh wow. What was it like? I have to ask you, working with Red Skelton. Man.
Yeah, Red Skelton, what a great guy he was.
Legendary.
Sweetheart, too, I've heard over the years.
Oh, yeah. Red was... I owe my career to Red. I actually did a pilot for CBS before I went into the real Army, and it was a show, a Navy show, and I was a sailor in it, and it starred Craig Stevens, Lola Albright, Alan Hale Jr., and Richard Jekyll, and myself. The pilot didn't sell, but the gentleman at Sherwood Schwartz, who was Red Skelton's head writer when Red was doing his live show at CBS, saw the pilot, and he was looking for a new character for Red to play, and he liked the character of Cookie, who was my buddy in the show, and he said, let's get the kid with the big nose, and if Red accepts him, we'll make that as one of his regular characters, like Willie Lump Lump and Freddie the Freeloader, etc.
Right.
So I went up very late at night to Red's house. He lived in Bel Air, beautiful big mansion. I was so nervous because I listened to him when I was a kid on radio, and here I was now with this great master who was a big MGM star and of course had his live TV show on CBS. And he started out right away. So he looks at me and says, when your mother was pregnant, was she scared by an anteater? And he said, if you're on a boat, did they throw your nose out the back to use as a rudder? And he did about 10 nose jokes on me, and we just hit it off, and I did his show. And it was a huge success, and I was on my way, and I thought, oh boy, this is great. I've just finally hit it. This is 1957, and I got drafted into the real Army. And as a matter of fact, I had just finished doing No Time for Sergeants, where I was a lieutenant with Andy Griffith and Nick Adams in No Time for Sergeants, the movie at Warner Brothers. I left that and went right in as a private and took my basic training at Fort Ord. Red was absolutely wonderful, and later on he commissioned me through the State Department, the United States Department, to go to Korea to help them entertain the troops. So I got VIP status as a private and went with Red, and we stopped at all the Army bases, the small ones, and then went all the way up to the DMZ, the 38th parallel, entertaining the troops. And when we got back, he said, "Look, it's going to be hard for you to get back and get started. You know, you've been away for several years and that. You come and see me if you run into trouble." Well, in 1959, I got my leave. In those days, when you got drafted, you had to put 6 years in: 2 years of active duty, 2 years of active reserve, and then 2 years of inactive reserve. So I had come out and finished my 2 years of active duty, and my dad passed away, and we didn't have any money, so I was going to have to go home and help support my mom. And I went to see Red at CBS to say goodbye to him, and he wouldn't let me go. He took out a roll of $100 bills, stuck them in my hand. He says, "Send that home to your mom." He says, "You're working for me now." And I was with him for a whole year under contract, traveling to the Sands Hotel in Las Vegas, the Fontainebleau in Miami Beach, the Fontainebleau Hotel, the Chez Paris in Chicago, and the Moulin Rouge here in L.A., and also did his live TV show. I worked with Jane Mansfield and Boris Karloff and Peter Lorre.
I love it. You name it, all great people, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Funny thing, Red Skelton, my wife's grandparents, he used to go to their house and eat spaghetti dinner all the time.
Oh.
At Red's house?
No, Red used to come to their house.
Oh, wait, where? In New Jersey?
In New Jersey, Long Branch, New Jersey. Whenever do a show.
I didn't know that. I don't think when I was with Red that we played New Jersey.
Yeah. He used to play.
We were in New York, and I forgot for what reason there, but mainly, Chicago, Chez Paris. I don't know if you remember the Chez Paris. That was a very famous nightclub. It was like the Copacabana in New York, but it was the big one in Chicago.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's so cool.
That's awesome. Dave, you had a question?
I was just going to say, Dave Hotchie, I'm a fellow member of Planet Ord. I was there much after you, of course, but I was just, I want to thank you as well for your service.
Oh, well, thank you also. Believe me, Armed Forces Radio was so important to me because you were away from home and it brought home to you. You'd be in a foreign country and you'd hear Ozzy and Harriet Hilliard show, Ozzy Nelson and on radio, and you'd hear a lot of the other shows. And of course, I produced and wrote some of the shows for Armed Forces Radio as well in those days. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you're right. It makes people feel like they're home. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would at nighttime. You'd turn on the radio and you'd be just like you were at home. And of course, you got all the different stations, all the different networks because of Armed Forces Radio. You get things that were on CBS or NBC or ABC, and those were the three. And sometimes from the Mutual broadcasting system as well.
Right.
So you got a cross section of all the wonderful programs that we listened to when we were back here in the States.
Jamie, I have a question for you. The character of Corporal Klinger was an amazing character. He was so witty and funny, and I read somewhere or I saw somewhere where you did a previous interview where you said the whole dressing up in a dress was actually something that was done by Lenny Bruce.
Yeah, that's where Larry Gelbart got the idea. Lenny Bruce was in the Coast Guard, and he had read someplace that, those days they say dress of the day, so it's either your Class A's or your fatigues and that. So Lenny Bruce took it literally, and he put on a dress, hoping that they would let him out of the Coast Guard. Well, he went into the brig, I think. It didn't work for him. Right. So that's where Larry Gelbart got the idea to have this character in the service at the 4077, and I came on for one day, never knowing that I was going to be asked back, and thank God I went on for one day and stayed for 11 years.
Right, exactly.
Wow.
Your character was. I like the way that you actually evolved after a while, and then they did away with the dresses and stuff because I think you had stated that. How many times could you laugh at a guy wearing a dress and they wanted to evolve your character?
Well, yeah, it's the same joke, over and over again, and I thought they were very creative about how they made that last for so long, and then, of course, making the transition that they did. We had wonderful writers and wonderful producers on the show.
Great show.
And to this day, those of us that are left, we're still very close friends.
That's great.
And I was very saddened to hear, of course, about Alan Alda having Parkinson's disease.
Yeah.
I emailed him and told him, how courageous he was, and and that family sent our love to him. There's really only 5 of us left. There's Alan, Mike Farrell, Gary Berghoff, Loretta Swit, and me.
Right.
The rest have all passed away of the members of the show.
Right.
Gene Reynolds, who was our producer, he's still with us, and Gene is into his 90s.
Wow.
And he's just incredible. Just a bright man and a wonderful man. We all dearly love him.
Yeah.
And I think, Burt Metcalf. I don't know how Burt Metcalf might be in his 80s.
Right.
Burt is still with us. He was a producer also on the show for many years.
And a lot of the names you mentioned, a lot of them were related to being part of the Sid Caesar show or shows. A lot of those guys were writers and stuff.
Oh yeah, well Larry Gelbar was. Yeah, he worked with Neil Simon and
that's right.
and Mel Tolkien and all those. You know, when I did the Danny Kaye show live with Harvey Korman the very first year, we had all of the Sid Caesar writers as well, and that was really exciting because I grew up watching Sid Caesar shows, and then I was fortunate enough to get to know Carl Reiner, and then also worked for Carl Reiner in the Dick Van Dyke Show, and then also Howard Morris. Howard directed me in Who's Mining the Mint, which we did at Columbia, and then the Doris Day's last movie with Six You Get Egg Roll, with Brian Keith. Brian Keith. Howie directed those two. He was wonderful.
I loved Howard Morris.
What a fabulous thing for me in my career to have worked with all these great people.
Yeah.
Jamie, let me ask you. I noticed a lot of people I loved MASH. I thought it was the writing.
I still watch it.
Of course.
Well, it's on all over the place. It's MeTV, AMC.
I had a MASH
Sundance,
t-shirt.
WGN. I mean, it's all over on cable. Yeah, I know.
The writing was brilliant, and a lot of people. I don't understand some people. They were like, some people didn't understand the humor. Like your one-liners. Now, I don't know if you had any input into it, but you used to say things like when you were telling Colonel Potter one time that you didn't feel well, and you said, I think I have what Betty Davis had in Mrs. Skeffington.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, well, that was the writers. They were just great. You know, they a lot of shows, they use the laugh tracks, and you'd watch it, and they say a line. You know, somebody would walk in and say hello, and then a big laugh going on. And well, we tried not to do that, and we figured the rapidity of the way we delivered the lines. If you didn't catch it the first time in the rerun, you'd catch it the second time.
Yeah.
But you played the scene. You know, you didn't play the joke. You played the scene.
One of my favorite,
and that was our policy.
Like I said, one of my favorite scenes with Klinger is when the first time that the character Colonel Flagg sees you.
Oh yeah. Ed Winter was absolutely wonderful actor. You know who he was doing? He was doing Charlton Heston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The way he copied his pattern of speech and everything. Yeah. Ed,
now you just
Ed
said
passed away. He was terrific. We all loved Ed Winter very, very much.
One of my favorite lines from the show was Alan Alda, the Hawkeye Pierce says, he goes, "Did you hear about the new MacArthur doll? You wind him up and he returns from anywhere."
Yes, I know. Well, they always show, I think, on MeTV, one of the ones where we're under a bombardment somewhere, and he and Frank Burns are laying on the floor, you know, trying to prevent the bombs, and Major Burns says to him, "We're going to have to evacuate," and Alan Alda's character says, "I think I just did."
Jamie, you mentioned earlier that you kept in touch with the members of the cast that are still with us. How about some of the peripheral characters who just really made careers out of it?
Oh, yeah, Jeff Maxwell and Kelly Nakahara and Elaine Saki, who was Rosie.
How about Nurse Baker?
Or Nurse Glenn Farrell. We still stay in touch with them. As a matter of fact, when some news breaks out on something, we all email everybody. We used to call them our mini-MASH. They were, you know, with us for so many years, and were such an important part of the show. Roy Goldman was wonderful. He passed away. I'm not sure about Dennis Troy. Dennis was also one of the I can't remember a lot of the names, but the ones that we've been in touch with that are still with us, I do remember.
Oh, gosh.
Who was the gentleman that you always used to fight with from Brooklyn?
Oh, Johnny Hamer.
Yeah.
Sergeant Zale.
Zale. That's it.
Yeah, Sergeant. Yeah. Johnny passed away also.
Yeah.
Johnny was wonderful. All the actors that they got to play on the series were just terrific.
G.W.
They
Bailey.
fitted so beautifully into any of the scenes, and their characters were just wonderful.
You know what I noticed, Jamie? I made an observation that anytime someone left the show, they were replaced, except for Radar.
Mm-hmm.
They decided that you really couldn't replace Radar.
Exactly.
I mean, he was such a beloved character, and they felt that it would be an intrusion, to have somebody come in. So that's why they decided, and they were right, to take me out of the dresses and then make me the company clerk and make me inept at doing what I was supposed to do. And again, the brilliance of the producers on the show and the writers, I can't give them enough credit.
Oh, the guest stars you guys used to get too.
Yeah, my God.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, we
Key
had let's see, Ronnie Howard,
Key Luke.
I'm trying to remember
Blythe
all of
Danner.
them. John Ritter.
Yeah.
There's so many.
Can't
There's so
go
many.
back.
And your pet camel, Habibi.
Yeah, that means sweetheart in Lebanese. Habibi.
You know what, Jamie?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, my wife Joy and I wrote a children's book called Habibi.
Oh, that's cool.
It was a lot of fun. It's a picture book for young people.
You know what, Jamie? I never knew this, but your character Klinger was from Ohio, and so were you. You grew up in Toledo. Now, was there really?
That was Larry Gelbart. Well, Larry Gelbart, who created my character, and also was the one who developed the show for TV series.
Right.
When he was a student, high school student at Fairfax High School in Los Angeles, he wanted to be a writer. Right. And his dad was Harry Gelbart, and he was a barber, and he had his barber shop in Beverly Hills. So all the comedians used to go to Harry Gelbart, and Harry would say, my son, he wants to be a writer. He writes jokes and that, and he was cutting Sid Caesar's hair, he was cutting Milton Berle's hair, he was cutting Groucho Marx and Bob Hope, and one of the comedians was Danny Thomas, who was Lebanese and from Toledo, Ohio, and he sold Danny on buying some jokes from Larry Gelbart. So Larry Gelbart never forgot that, and that was his start, in the business of writing comedy, and that's why he made my character from Toledo and made him a Lebanese. It was a payback for Danny Thomas buying the jokes from him.
The Toledo Mud Hens.
Was there
that's the Detroit Tigers farm team.
Was there really a place called Paco's, or was that
Tony Paco's?
I just got a fan letter from somebody in Detroit, and they said, we had heard about the Mud Hens, and we heard about Paco's. We'd never been there, and he said, Detroit's that close to Toledo. So he said, we decided to go and see if there really was a Toledo Mud Hens, and they couldn't believe it. It's a beautiful stadium, and in the downtown Toledo area. It's built like Wrigley Field in Chicago. You can walk by and look in and see the ball game. And there is Paco's, and they said they love the Hungarian hot dogs and the paprikash and chicken paprikash and all the other stuff that they had. So, yep, they're all real places.
Jamie, we got a question from one of our viewers. They want to know from Mike Lepowski. Want to know what was your favorite episode?
Everybody asks that, and I guess we'd say probably The Reporter, the one that Clete Roberts did, because that show was actually ad-libbed by all of us.
Oh wow!
What Larry Gelbart did is it was a carbon copy of what Ed Murrow did, Edward R. Murrow at CBS when he went to Korea to interview people.
That's what
and they decided to kind of replicate that. Yeah. So Larry Gelbart took a tape recorder and then interviewed each of us characters.
Right.
As our characters and asked us questions, and then what he did is he went back and wrote like a transcript, and then they hired Clete Roberts to play the part that Larry Gelbart, who was playing the part of Edward R. Murrow, to do the part, and then we all tried to remember what we had said. So it was really ad-libbed. It was, and it won the Peabody Award. It was a terrific show.
That was
black
the
and white.
That was the famous no laugh track show.
Yeah, that's correct. There's no laugh track, and we had a couple of them. There was no laugh. Well, there was never any laugh tracks in the operating room.
Right.
And then I think that was the one that there was no laugh track totally.
Right.
We did another show where there was no laugh track. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Jamie, you said before during the reporter episode that you ad-lib. Did they allow you to do that on as more than whenever you guys wanted to use?
No. We really stuck to the script. We did another show that was kind of an ad-lib show. That was the one where I'm running a projector and the movie keeps breaking and people had to get up and do things. Harry Morgan and Loretta Swit sang and Bill Christopher played the piano and Gary Berghoff got up and did something and that. That was kind of like also kind of an ad-lib show that we did. But no, most of the time, not most of the time, all of the time, we had to say the lines. And if you're going to change a word, you had to call the producer and ask permission and the writers when we were shooting the scenes.
Wow.
Jamie, I guess the greatest compliment I could give you all is that, just like many people, I felt like you guys were family. And so much so, I was actually a fan of Aftermash. I really liked that show. I don't know.
Well, yeah, that was a disappointment on our part, but you can't. Wouldn't it be great if they were all winners?
I know.
Hey, listen, just to have MASH as a winner is enough in my career. I'm very, very proud of that.
You should be.
I'm still proud to talk about the show and still enjoy watching it. I'm like you. I watch a lot of the episodes and sometimes I'll get a line. I go, oh my goodness, I never realized that line was in there. That's a very funny line.
I also I'm sorry, I just wanted to mention real quick the irony in some of the scripting, or maybe all of it maybe, but you wanted out as Korea so badly. And then it turned out you were the last one to leave.
You wound up saying,
supposedly, and he didn't, leave. He stayed back
got married,
to try to find Sumi. Incidentally, Rosalind Chow, she was in the Joy Luck Club, and the Academy is showing that movie. I think they showed it at the end of July, and they invited people to see it. She was a wonderful, wonderful actress. Mm-hmm. I don't know I think she's still acting. I haven't really been in touch with her, but she was terrific. We had a wonderful time. She was a graduate of USC, and her family actually owned a Chinese restaurant, I think, in near Disneyland, I believe. I'm not sure. She has a couple kids now, and she's still very, very pretty and very active in the business, I believe.
You know what? That's great. Getting back to the after, Tim. You know what I hope the thing with the Aftermash is? After you have a show like MASH, and then you do it, there's no, unfortunately, and this is one man's opinion, there's nowhere to go but down. How do you top? MASH was a tough act to follow.
That's just one man's opinion. You don't have other opinions.
But they did feel like family to me. I was so ingrained into the show.
Well, sometimes the show just doesn't find an audience. Doesn't mean the show is not good enough. Just can't find an audience sometimes.
I think also too. One of the things that I was hoping they would do was replicate the best years of our lives of the veterans coming back.
Great movie.
And they didn't head in that direction, and I think that's one of the things that didn't get the audience's attention.
Yeah. Right.
So, but again, listen, guys, I had such a wonderful time with both those shows, both series, and they were all wonderful people, and what great memories I have. I'm very proud of both of the shows. Obviously, MASH, of course, because of the success of it, but even after MASH as well. It was a disappointment, but it was a great tribute to try to replicate the veterans coming home.
Sure.
Jamie, what are you still acting? Are you retired? Or you have anything going?
No, I'm still acting. I was doing a lot of live theater and that, but I kind of, I turned 84 on July the 1st this year, so I'm kind of slowing down a little bit.
You don't look it at all.
Yeah.
I did a pilot called The Cool Kids. I guested on it, and it was for Fox TV, and it sold. David Allen Greer, I believe, and Martin Mull, and Dickie Lawrence, the stars of it. And
Wow.
I believe it's going to be on Friday nights on the Fox Network, and they might bring my character back. So I don't know. I haven't talked to them. They're probably in production now.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Jamie, this is Paul Vinny. Can I ask you a question? Did you ever get to keep any of those dresses?
Actually, no. You know what I did is I kept the fuzzy pink slippers. I have those in a cereal case, but a lot of those went to the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C.
Oh, that's cool.
Along with the Mud Hen shirt.
That's cool.
I wore 2 Mud Hen shirts on the show. They were actual Mud Hen shirts. One is in the Smithsonian. The other one I gave to the Mud Hens. They have it in center field now at Fifth Third Field there in Toledo.
How about the sign?
Several of the outfits along with the swamp. That's at the
How about the sign?
in Washington.
How about the sign with all the towns and the miles?
What's that?
How about the direction sign? With all the miles?
Yeah, I think the direction sign is at the Smithsonian also.
Yeah, it should be.
Oh, that's amazing.
You know, when the final show was aired and not aired, but when we shot it, you can't believe how the police had to come in. The guards at the 20th Century Fox, the guards some of the stuff, because people were ripping off things, taking things with them and so forth. And we knew that a lot of those items would be going to historical places. So.
Oh wow. Dave?
Hey, how are you, Jamie? This is David Hodge again. That $2 you won at that acting contest, what type of a role was that?
Oh, that wasn't a role. That was a burlesque thing that a buddy and I did.
Nice.
He became an attorney. It was the old operation thing. We got it out of one of the joke books. Where you're going to operate on somebody and you pull out sausages and a flashlight or some kind. It was something really silly thing that we did. What the heck? We were kids. What did we know?
Absolutely, Jamie. I would love for you to tell the time capsule story.
Well, that one that was actually the final episode that we shot. The final episode that was aired, the 2-hour one, was not the one the last show that we filmed. It was the time capsule one, and we decided, hey, why don't we actually do that? Find a place on the 20th Century Fox lot, dig a hole somewhere, and put a time capsule. Put things in it in a waterproof Red Cross box, and we decided, hey, where they probably will not tear down is someplace near the commissary there, because that was a very famous commissary. So we had one of our buddies dig this hole. It was late at night. We stayed behind. The studio was actually closed, and Arlene Alda, Alan's wife, had her camera with her, and we had a ceremony, and she took the pictures of all of us putting things in and putting it in the ground, and we'd say, hey, in about 25 or 30 years, we'll tell everybody about it.
Right.
And we even had some champagne. We toasted. We thought, gee, this will be a great story. And shortly after we left the studio, we weren't there anymore. They did some renovation, and a bulldozer dug up the time capsule. The guy didn't know what it was and threw it in the trash.
Oh my God!
So that killed that great story. Yeah, unfortunately, we would have been able to. It would have been a great story, right now to say, hey, listen, there's a time capsule that we put things in, notes and certain props and things that we valued.
Wow, that's such a travesty.
Yeah, really. Jeez. Should hang that guy.
Jamie, I can't tell you.
Well, he didn't know. What did he know? They were doing renovation there, and they just threw it out. Yeah, all of us we were so saddened by it, but then again, what can you do?
Jamie,
listen, guys, I really appreciate it, and I thank you very much. I wish you the best of luck on your show.
Thank you, sir.
And,
Jamie, can you do us a favor?
I was honored that you asked me to be a part of it, and I'm honored that I'm still here to talk about it.
Thank you. Thank you. Jamie, can you do a station ID for us?
Before you go?
What do I have to say?
Just introduce yourself and say you're listening to the Animal House Radio Show on the
Animal House Radio Show?
On the Hamilton Network. That's all you have to say. Just say your name and what you do.
Hi, this is Jamie Farr, and you're listening to the Animal House Network.
No.
On the Hamilton Network.
the Animal House Radio Show on the Hamilton Network.
Hi, this is Jamie Farr. You're listening to the Animal House Show on the Hamilton Network.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm glad I'm
thank you,
listening.
Jamie.
Jamie, God bless you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
God bless us all. Believe me.
And you have an open door anytime you want to come on behalf of us here and all the men and women overseas who are.
Well, you know what? Loretta Swit's from New Jersey, so.
Oh, wow.
Frank Sinatra, Lou
Yes.
Costello. There's
Yes.
a lot of famous people from New Jersey.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
We've had Loretta on the show, and she
Yes.
was wonderful to us.
Yes.
Yeah, Loretta's terrific. Yes, we're still very close friends. We're in touch with each other at least once a week.
Oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
All right.
Well, thank you guys. You
Thank
take
you
care,
so
and
much.
I'm going to go have my dinner now.
We're going to keep watching you on MeTV.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. I
WGA.
appreciate it.
Jamie
Thank you,
Farr,
Carlo.
everybody.
Thank you, David. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carlo Valerio.
Oh,
Because of Dave, Carlo, Paul, I am the Eggman.
you are.
I just spoke to Jamie Farr.
And Giancarlo Stan just hit a grand slam.
Yes, I saw that.
There you go.
6-3.
So it's a good day. It's a good night all around.
So far.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That
was cool.
And I
He's a
didn't know
musical
he was
guy.
a part of Planet Ord, where I was stationed.
Yeah,
Was
that's
that
cool,
the one
isn't
that
it?
they just?
Yeah,
oh,
that's when he
wow.
went to. Yeah.
And was that in San Diego or?
No,
No,
Monterey.
north.
Oh, Monterey. Okay, wow, that's nice up there in Monterey Coast.
Carlo, in about 2 years from now,
I'll be dead.
no, you're going to have a television show where you'll be interviewing guests for 1 hour. And then
Absolutely.
we delve into the more of like Cannonball Runs and the
Yes.
Blackboard Jungle.
Yes.
Scrooged.
It's coming, brother. It's
You want to
coming.
laugh? I would like to see them redo that Cannonball Run, but it's got to be done right.
It's got to be done right.
It's got to have that chemistry.
And you better have a big budget because you're going to get a lot of famous people.
That's
with
the
it.
thing.
Yeah, and I don't want just anybody. I want like the the iconic people that they. But see, I don't think they can make Lightning Strike twice like that.
Yeah, because they couldn't do it even with Cannonball Run, too, so.
Yeah.
If you get the right people in a good script, you'll be
So
fine.
never mind a third
You're
time.
not wrong, I know, but I mean, Burt Reynolds, the way he played it, he's
Dun,
irreplaceable.
dun, dun!
The writing's got to come up with a whole different type of lead character.
Yeah,
See, I don't know if they're going to be able to. Burt Reynolds, they could always.
You need a good chemistry.
You got to. Who's going to?
Well, you know why they might be able to do it? You have The Rock in the Fast and Furious movies, and he does comedic acting as
Yeah,
well.
he's very
so
good.
if you take that and you combine some way to get The Rock to be the main star of the new
Yes.
Cannonball Run, it'll
Absolutely.
definitely be a hit.
Well, who plays
That's
Dom
not
DeLuise,
bad, Dave.
though?
That's not bad.
the whole-
Well, you don't.
Him and Kevin Hart ride together.
You don't use the same characters. You just put different people in that race. It's a real race. They do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it doesn't have that
Yes, it
Cannonball
does.
Run. Then it's just another movie.
No,
Wait, hold
no. You put a good staff together, you can do it fine.
I only use this finger.
These bleeds?
Is
These
that
bleeds?
stuff good to drink? I don't know. I never tried.
I'm gonna shove these bleeds up your nose. These bleeds?
God is our co-pilot. Where's he gonna sit? Our car, 2 seats. Where's it? That was just with Dean Martin and Sammy Davis.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're definitely not going to get them back.
You know what?
You get some of the blue collar guys in there.
Yeah.
You get some certain people that make the chemistry.
Larry the
that fits.
Cable Guy could be in there. That's definitely an easy one.
That would be.
You have him
great,
and Bill Engvall argue with each other in their car.
You know.
The Rock and Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Yes. There you
That'd
go.
be
They already have good chemistry. You know it's going to work.
Yeah.
You can get what's his name involved? Sandler. I think he would be good.
I don't know if
That's
he'd work
whether or
with
not
that
we
cheap
want to
that they would
sync a
need.
movie.
You want to
know.
laugh? I really,
But-
it wasn't great, but I like the remake of The Longest Yard.
It was
I
good.
did. I liked it
wasn't
too.
bad.
It was okay.
Yeah.
It was okay.
It
I'll give
wasn't
you that.
disappointing.
Yeah, I'll give you
The
that.
whole key is just gotta get good chemistry of people together.
At first, you need a good script.
Right. Get a good script and get a good bunch of people together. That's all. It'll be
You
fun.
get, you get a couple of people that are going to be big draws to the headline it, and everybody else like, come on, you're here for scale. Let's go. Let's get this done. Chop.
Before Cannonball Run, there was a movie way before that.
World.
No. Before that, there was a movie
Gumball
called
Rally.
Gumball Rally.
With Michael Cera. I don't
And
remember that.
what's his face from the Adams Family? What's his name?
Oh, what, John Aston?
No,
Raul
movie.
Julia.
Raul Julia. He was in that when he was very young.
That's right. You're right.
Did they eat him?
So it's the idea of the race itself. It doesn't have to be like
well,
the
that's
original
the,
movies.
The Cannonball Run is a real thing that
Yes.
they did.
They still do.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, they tried that with Rat Race. You gotta you gotta bring something better than that to the table because the writing in that wasn't that good.
Hey, Carlo, now you're from North Jersey. I think it was Newark. Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Yeah,
Do you
that's
remember
correct.
something up there for real called the Puerto Rican 500?
Yeah, what they do is
They round up 500 Puerto Ricans.
no, down by the airport, by the prison, there's like a road that everybody drag
Uh-huh.
races at. That's pretty much where.
Yeah, Haynes.
But it's mostly, unfortunately, it's mostly drug dealers.
Okay,
and
I didn't know. I didn't know.
That type of caliber of people because they
Not
don't
all
want.
Puerto Ricans are drug dealers. Come
Well,
on.
well, I didn't say that. I just said it's usually done by.
But only those 500 are.
No, I didn't say Puerto Rico. I said because they're the only ones that have the money to invest in those kind of cars.
Okay.
Because it's $100,000 to modify some of these cars.
Some of them, yeah.
And but yeah, they used to do that.
I'd always heard, seriously, I'd always heard it was like a race to get from one place in New York to whatever the place was back to Jersey.
Well, there was one from Hoboken to Miami. Hoboken or bus, they called it. It was like some kind of a race that they did, and you would have to wager on yourself. Or you could wager on yourself, and then there was like a prize if you got there within a certain time. It was crazy. I would like that. That would be cool to do something like that.
Sure it would.
But nowadays, it's...
But nowadays, the traps,
you got
speed
live
traps in Virginia.
PD and all that other stuff.
We need an Autobahn. That's what we need. Cross country.
Yeah,
Eisenhower tried that, but we got Route 80, I guess.
Yeah,
that's as close as we
Route
got.
10.
Yeah.
No, we need
Route 37.
We need some kind of a souped-up vehicle that seats about a half a dozen, and we
A
get
rocket
the whole
ship.
Animal House to go on some kind of a tour.
Yeah.
And
I
just
know.
go nuts in every town. I'm not talking about like ripping buildings apart, but just mayhem
I would
of
love
some
to
kind.
go on tour,
Yeah.
but Gene can't even forget about it. We can't.
Well,
even
Gene's
do-
going to be on tour.
We can't even do a live remote from Yogi's Hoagies. Never mind.
Oh, you wait and see. They'll find the mashed time capsule underneath this building when they finally
Yeah.
turn it down.
He'll be like, I don't know, but
Yeah, but Ruben's going to lose it while he's waiting to Sawzall another room.
I gotta be here.
Ruben would be a driver. He'd be the driver, Ruben.
Ruben's Ubering. He's not. Gonna
Actually,
do
that
it.
would be good. That scene where they have the cab, they had to get in the cab.
Yeah.
That'll be Ruben in the Uber. See, we're getting this writing done already.
No, Gene will be the one with the guy on the motorcycle, and he's got the girl with the wig on, and he's doing a wheelie the whole way.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
Who's
Good
going to
stuff.
replace the little Asian guy watching porn in the back?
Oh, Jackie Chan.
Was that Jackie Chan?
That was Jackie Chan and Richard Keel in the second one.
Oh,
Get the guy from the Hangover movies.
Oh, Zach
Alan?
Galifianakis?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, the Asian guy I'm talking about.
Yes.
Oh, Ken
Jeong, yeah.
Yeah.
He'd be great.
Oh, he'd be good. Yeah.
Actually, he might be good to be the doctor part because he was a real doctor.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, he's good for the new Cannonball. He is.
No, but you
Ken
need
Jeong.
somebody really creepy looking because Jackie.
Me!
You need two hot girls. So who's two hot ladies we could use?
Oh boy, that's.
I
two
could
hot
use
girls.
one, but I mean,
That'd be tough. Who can they use today? That's really.
I don't know. I'm trying to think who's hot out there.
It you got to find out who the star is, and then you got to make it a little more realistic on who's going to be by her. Which girls would be by
They'll
him.
probably get the Kardashians.
No, they don't.
God, I hope not.
That takes care of
I
that.
hope not.
That would ruin that movie.
Because let's face it, Reynolds was able to come up with Sally Field and Farrah Fawcett. Do we have that?
It was so bad. He even made Sally Field look kind of hot. So
Adrienne Barbeau was never pretty, but she had a nice body.
She had sex
Exactly.
appeal.
That was the whole that's why she's up the thing.
And the
down.
other girl was a lot better looking.
Right.
That was one in the Lamborghini.
I liked Adrienne Barbeau in Escape from New York.
The fog.
Oh, yeah.
The fog.
Out of
That too.
Out of the Cannonball Run, which was your favorite team?
Dean Martin and Sammy
Yeah,
Davis.
that's.
I'm a
And
priest.
also, I was thinking Hooper. Now I was gonna say
Hooperman?
Hooper.
with
With Burt Reynolds or something?
with Mel Tillis and what's his Terry
Terry Bradshaw.
Bradshaw.
No, that was
Yeah.
Cannonball Run.
They were in that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love those
Ain't
two together.
nothing
They were
like
great.
the life
They
of a
did make
Hollywood stuntman.
We got enough beer? Plenty. How about food, son? Do we have food? He pulls up a bag of beer nuts. He goes, plenty.
Jack Elam as the doctor with the eye, the lazy
Yeah.
eye.
Yeah, and he's got proctologist.
No, I like the one guy that's trying to beat up Joe Klecko, and he's just standing there, and the guy's trying to punch him.
Yeah.
But Jerry Reed, now, Reynolds and Reed did a couple movies with Klecko, and it was for whatever reason, it was always Jerry Reed going, "It's Big Joe Klecko."
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was from the Smokey and the Bandit movies.
Big Joe Klecko.
I love Jerry Reed. He was great.
Oh
Yeah.
God, yeah, God rest his soul. Great. I mean, I've downloaded that song. He's bound it down. It's just it
Right.
picks you up,
You
man,
know
every
what?
time.
If it's the movie.
You know,
Yeah.
here's a movie that nobody really knows that Jerry Reed was in with Dom DeLuise. Hot Stuff.
Yeah, that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, what a great movie.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so.
Yeah.
I can't find that. It's hard to find.
Some movies are just like kind of disappear.
You know what my luck is? Every time I go through that cycle, like I want to see this movie, and I finally break down and I order the DVD. It's on cable like a month later.
Yeah, I know.
I just did that. I ordered Johnny Dangerously and Dr. Detroit because
Johnny
they
Dangerous-
haven't been on for a while. Now it's on all the time. Like
Johnny
son of a bitch.
Dangerously?
Yeah, it was just on.
Oh, I haven't seen that
You
in
should
so
be able
long.
to find that in, like the $5 bin in
No.
Walmart.
No, you can't find.
No, it's
those.
hard to find.
You
I had
can't
to get it
find
on Amazon for like $8.
You know what I was?
Yeah, you can't find it,
I had
yeah.
a hard time finding. It was a movie with Harvey Korman, Tim Conway. I don't think it got.
Oh, the one you
Dorf
saw.
on Golf.
No, it was called The Long Shot.
Yeah, that was funny.
My
That's a good
God,
movie.
It was. They had it on VHS. I had to find it on eBay years ago. I finally found a DVD copy. It is so hysterical.
Could you get any of the Dorf movies still?
Dorf?
Dorf
Dorf
on
on
Golf?
Golf.
Yeah.
No. See, stuff like that is hard to find.
Yeah.
And,
You can find anything on YouTube, though. That's the best.
I hope I can find that on YouTube.
You can. Everything's on YouTube. Everything.
A lot of times it'll get stricken down.
They've pulled a lot of content
Yeah.
off lately, yeah. So
It's hard not to find stuff on YouTube, let me tell you that. You
How
surf
about
the
Where's
whole day.
Papa? You guys remember that?
Oh, with George
Oh, yeah.
Siegel and
Ruth
Ruth Gordon?
Ruth
Yeah.
Gordon was
Oh.
great.
She bit his ass.
She's no Ruth Buzzy, though.
That was a
Buzzy.
great movie.
Actually,
That's a great movie.
Gordon Hockheiser.
Paul's friends with her on Facebook, Ruth Buzzy, right? Aren't you?
Yeah, Ruth Buzzy, yeah.
Well, it's Ruth Gordon in the movie, but yeah.
Yeah, Ruth Gordon,
And
Ruth Buzzy.
Trish Vanderveer, George C. Scott's
Right,
wife,
George-
was in it,
ex-wife,
too.
yeah.
And the guy that had a series on his own, who played the brother, Sid.
Right, Sid. Yeah, what's his face?
Found out he was gay later in the movie when he got raped by that
Yeah,
gang
what
member.
movie? He's in a lot of movies, too. I mean, a lot
He
of
had
TV
that
shows.
TV series.
Yeah, what the hell was it called?
And he was also in Norma Ray, also had a major
yeah,
part in that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ron Liebman.
That's it, Liebman, that's it.
Yeah.
Hot tights, red tights, red tights. Hey, get your cold beer.
When he dresses like a gorilla.
When a
she
gorilla
punches
and it gets raped.
and she punches him in the balls, too, remember?
No,
Gordon.
I like her and what's her name? Ruth Gordon.
Yeah.
Every Which Way But Loose.
12 red
Great
my
movie.
ass.
Right turn, Clyde.
Eating all the fucking Oreos.
Sunday, you're going to church. You too.
You
The first live one in years, and I disabled them. She kicked them in the nuts.
Great movies. Great movies.
Man.
Great movies.
All right, come on. Somebody pick it up here. We're losing a little steam. What else we got going on?
That's it. We're waiting for Burton Gilliam at 9:40.
Now, he was the lead singer of the Guess Who, right?
Burton Cummings.
Right? No
Close.
sugar tonight in my coffee.
Just a reminder,
No
tonight's
time.
show is brought to you by Francesca's Italian Deli, 2119 Whitesville Road in Toms River, 732-362.
Oh, they're good, too. They really are.
55. It's good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll be back with us next week. Tomorrow night at the Catch a Rising Star in the Joey Harrison's Forked River House. Angel Salazar and myself. Showtime is at 8 o'clock.
Yes.
Still plenty of tickets, so if you want to come on down.
Now, if you don't know where it is, it's the old Latitudes, which was before that was the South Winds Grill. You go down East Lacey Road and go right to the end till you can't go no more.
Yes, and the number to call if you want to order your tickets is 609-987-8018, and definitely come on out and check it out. Oh, I wanted to mention that we lost a guest on our show. She was a good friend of the show, and we got we had the honor of interviewing her. I just want to rest in peace for Charlotte Ray,
Oh.
who passed away at ripe old age of 92.
God bless her.
And I'll tell you what, when we had her on the show, she was a firecracker.
She was
Yes,
funny.
she was.
She
was
was
nice.
a firecracker. And
Her best friend was Marion Ross, too. Remember Marion Ross said
yes,
that?
they
She
were
was-
and she was very close to the girls on the show, and she was like a mother to them. They were all
Right.
very close.
Rest in peace.
Yes.
Who's that?
Well, Charlotte from Sex and the City.
Oh yeah,
Oh, different Charlotte. Different Charlotte. She was a
God
lot younger.
forbid,
than-
yeah, right. She was too young. Shall we take a short break and come back?
Sure.
All right, let's take a break. I got something, Gene. Hold on, let me put it on. There we go.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
It only takes a minute to find out if you may have prediabetes, and you can do it at doihaveprediabetes.org. but you're probably not going to. Nope. I'm sure you've got a perfectly good excuse. Kids, work. I get it. You're busy. So what better time than now? Let's begin. Raise one finger if you're a man. Ladies, none yet. Oh, count in your head if you're driving. Now, 3 more fingers for everyone over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40, 1 more if you're not physically active, another finger if anyone in your family has type 2 diabetes, another if you've got high blood pressure. If you're overweight, raise another finger, 2 if you're very overweight, and 3 if you're really overweight. You've just taken the world's first audio pre-diabetes test. And if you're holding up 5 or more fingers, visit doihaveprediabetes.org or talk to your doctor. There's no excuse because prediabetes can be reversed.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Hey everybody, Rachel Ray here. Nothing brings a bigger smile to my face than cooking up a big meal for the whole family and lots of friends. But there's not enough room at my table for the 17 million kids in our country who struggle with hunger. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks collects surplus food to give hope to hungry kids. But they can't do it without your help. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness.
Get some rear security.
From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
You look nice. How was work?
Well, it was 4th period, civics. The kids were giving me the 3rd degree. Was a UFO seen hovering over Washington, D.C.? Was a fisherman attacked by a 320-pound shrimp? They'd been bitten by a fake news bug, all right, and it was holding on like a driver's ed student to a steering wheel. How was I gonna get a bunch of wide-eyed kids to wise up about what they see on the internet? Then it hit me. Like a dodgeball on field day. The name of the game was News Snoops. Each student got an article and 2 minutes to decide if it was credible or a fake. They were able to use fact-checking sites to get the cold, hard truth. Now the little hotshots are even teaching their gullible grannies a thing or two about phony news. But how was your day?
Pretty good. I got a new title today. Office Birthday Party Planner.
Oh, fun.
Teachers just have better work stories. If you want a creative job worth talking about, head to teachdfw.org. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
Yeah, man, that was great.
That was a good.
He was a great interview. What a good guy.
We're still buzzing over that last interview.
Jimmy Farr was
are.
great.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Animal House Radio Show. We are only halfway done. We're just getting warmed up because now we got our next guest, getting ready to bring him on. And you know and love him for many, many years on TV and movies. And he's going to be on the line with us shortly.
Yes.
And I know he's not going to disappoint us with. Vincent had a talk with him yesterday, and he's told me he is a firecracker. So we're gonna. I know we're gonna enjoy this. So I hope
He's a Southern boy.
Yes, he's a Texas boy.
Texas man.
They don't mess around.
No, they don't.
It's 2 things we take serious in Texas: football and prison.
That's it.
Hey, Carlo, oh, you got it? You got it, Gene?
Is that Mr. Gillum? Yeah, get him on. I'm talking it up that we're getting him on.
What do you mean start calling him? How long does it take to start calling him?
Yes.
No, you got to dial 1 first.
You have to warm up first? What do you got to do?
See?
Begin to call him.
Start with 1.
Yeah, so we're working with a handicap.
All right.
Hello, Mr. Gillum.
Hello? It's Gilliam.
Hey, this is Animal House Radio. Hello, good evening.
Mr. Gilliam?
Hello, Burton. Hello?
Oh, hello.
There we go.
Hello, there you are.
There you are.
Hello, Mr. Gillum. How are you?
Gilliam.
I'm good. Who am I speaking with?
This is Carlo Wild Thing Valerio.
You are the wild thing. Okay. Well,
I'm going to have to watch over you very closely here for the next few minutes. So if I come with a net over you to go over you, well, you'll know what it's all about. Okay?
Sure.
Many have tried and many have failed. So
you need a big net.
No, you remember a net.
And now listen, is it Gilliam or Gillum?
It's Gilliam.
Yes.
Gilliam.
You know what? My family name is Gillum. But when I went to Hollywood, my first agent said, Burton Gillum just doesn't sound right. Burton Gilliam sounds real good.
Okay.
And so I changed the pronunciation of it. It's spelled the same way. All of my relatives are Gillums. I'm a Gilliam.
That Gillum is a real Southern name, too. Gillum.
Yeah, I want to give you a proper introduction. All right, everybody, it is 9:40. Joining us now on the phone is a legendary actor, a funny man. You've seen him on the big screen many times, and he's taken a few minutes out of his busy schedule to be with us here tonight. Please welcome for the first time on the Animal House Radio Show, Mr. Burton Gilliam.
Yeah.
Yes. Sit down, everyone. Sit down. Quit the clapping. It's enough.
Burton, I just want to say it's a pleasure and an honor to be talking to you, and I truly thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Someone better go back and get a shitload of dimes.
Oh boy, Slim said that in the script of Blazing Saddles. It said one of the cowboys says that, and I thought, oh wow, I hope I get that, but they gave it to the right person.
Whenever I think of you, I always think of the song Camptown Ladies singing a song. Doo-dar, I love
it. My goodness.
I just want to say
that was a great time in my life.
Burton, I just want to wish you a happy birthday tomorrow. Tomorrow's your birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. That is right.
42.
Tomorrow is my birthday.
And you're going to be 19,
42,
right?
42.
42.
Well,
and tell the governor I said out.
80 sounds a lot like 42, but the years don't lie. But and I have to say, my birthday has lasted from it started last Saturday night and will go till this Sunday night.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
It's every day, every night, something is going on for my birthday. People are nice to me. I don't know why.
That's how they do it down in Texas, I guess, right?
Yes.
Hey, Burton, let me ask you. I'm so intrigued by this. When I was doing my research on you, before you even did movies, you were a firefighter and a Golden Gloves boxer?
Yeah, both of them at the same time. And this is back when Golden Gloves was huge.
Right.
Back in the mid-50s to the mid-60s. I had 217 fights, and I won more Golden Glove championships than anybody in the history of the sport.
Wow!
All of that was while I was a fireman, because I was a fireman for 14 years before I became an actor.
What weight class were you? What were you, middleweight? Welterweight?
I was a welterweight.
Oh, okay.
6'1", 147 pounds, and I was just a tall, skinny kid with a short flat top haircut, and my name was Burton. I know that I beat a lot of guys just because they thought, well, God, look at that long, tall string bead guy. His name's Burton. I know he can't fight, but I could.
Yeah, you were like Tommy Hearns, man, tall and skinny, man.
Yeah.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah.
So,
and I was.
How did the transition come about from being a firefighter to a movie actor?
In June of 1972, I saw an article in the Dallas paper while I was sitting around the fire station one day, and it said some big director who I'd never heard of, Peter Bogdanovich, was coming to Dallas to audition people to be extras in a picture called Paper Moon. And it said Ryan O'Neal was the star of the show, and I thought, golly, I might get to see Ryan O'Neal. I don't know what an extra does. Right. This is way back yonder, before we knew anything about movie making, really, in Dallas, Texas. Right. So I went down to this hotel the next day along with 450 other people, and Peter wasn't there. He had a casting director. It took me about 2.5 hours to get in, but I finally got in there to see him, and the guy liked me, and he said, sit down here, I want to talk to you for a minute. So I talked to him, and he said, well, we're really giving away some one-liners. Say this line. And Randy Quaid finally said this in the picture, and it was his only line. He said, make him say kite rope, Leroy. Leroy was having a fight with somebody, with Brian O'Neill over trading an old car for a new car so he could get away from the sheriff. And I said that. He said, well, it sounds like we might like to, come back and see us in a couple of weeks. So they called a couple of weeks later. I go back in and I read for them and I do some crazy stuff. And then he says, Peter says, well, do you think you can do the part of Floyd the desk clerk? I said, yes, sir, I sure can. I don't know who Floyd the desk clerk is. I just knew the answer to the question. It was like a, yes-no question. I knew the answer. So he gives me a script. I go outside the room and look it over, and Sybil Shepherd comes in. That's when she and Peter had this big thing going years ago. And she says, you ready to read? I said, yes, ma'am, I am. So she takes me back in. She reads the other parts. I read the part of Floyd the desk clerk, and everybody's standing up and clapping for me every time I'm saying anything. And I sort of figured I had the part, but a Paramount casting called about a week later and said, Peter, I want you to do this part. And so they took me off to St. Joseph, Missouri to do the thing. I come back to the fire station, never intending, never thought about doing another picture. It was just a fun time. And about 3 months later, I got a phone call at the fire station. This guy said his name was Mel Brooks, and he was a writer, director, producer, actor, and he wanted me to be in a picture called Paper Moon.
Oh,
and
wow.
I mean, Blazing Saddles, excuse me, I jumped back. and I just said, thank you, Mr. Brooks, and I hung up on him. Because I knew that it was another fireman giving me a bad time, like they'd been doing for 3 months. But he called back and convinced me who he was, and I went out to see him, told him no, came back, and then a guy named Richard Pryor called me. I'd met him when I was out there, and he was one of our writers. He said, we've rewritten the part, want you to come back and talk to us again. I said, you got to pay for me to come back first class.
Whoa.
So I went back and told them no again, but the third time out, I found out they had a lot of money, and we got together on a deal, and I quit the fire department, went out and stayed there 23 years and had the most wonderful time. And my wife and I came back to Dallas at the height of my career.
Wow.
We thought the career might be over, but golly, I'll tell you this, it won't ever be over.
Yeah, Burton, I'm just curious, why did you turn them down? You just didn't like the way the script was, or?
The first time I turned them down because there was nothing in there for me. It just said this. I was some guy named Lyle, and I'd come riding into town with the rest of them, shoot up some people. I'd say a line, then I'd leave. There wasn't be anything to it.
Right.
And then you'd see me sitting around and saying stuff. Something didn't make any difference to the script at all.
Right.
So I just, I told Mel, look, I've read the script, and there's just nothing in there for me. I just can't quit the fire department for this, because I got to quit the fire department now. I don't have any vacation time coming. He said, well, that's what we got. So I left, and then I go home, and about a week later I get a phone call from Richard Pryor. He says, hey, man, this is Richard. I said, Richard who? He said, Richard Pryor, man. And I knew something was up. And he said they really wanted me to do the picture, and they had set up the night before and rewrote my part, and I was going to open the picture, and I was going to tell how crazy it was going to be, and so I went back to see him again, and then I liked the script, but I went back to see Mel after I'd read the script, and I said, well, I'd like to do your picture, but, you know, I got to make some money on this. I made Scale, which was $282 for the week on Paper Moon. And he said, I'll go around and see the casting director. You guys will get together on the deal. I said, okay. So I go around and I see this lady by the name of Vanessa Hyams. And she kept saying, Mr. Gilliam, there's really no money in this part.
No,
and I kept saying, well, okay, but tell me some more. And then she'd say, there's really no money in this part. So after she told me that about 3 times, I said adios, and I went back to the airport, got on a plane, went back to Dallas, and then the next day about noon, I got a phone call from Mel Brooks, and he said, what happened? I said, y'all don't have any money. He said, well, how much did she offer you? And I said, she didn't offer me anything. She said, you don't have any money. He said, I'll call you back. He called me back in about 5 minutes. He said, I want you to come back and see me on the next flight. I said, I can't come back. I've taken off from the fire station here twice, and I just can't come back now. Right. He said, how long will it be? I said, probably a week. And he said, well, good. We're still 6 weeks away from shooting a foot of film. So he said, well, when you can come, give me a call, and we'll get it all set up. So I called him a few days later, and they set it up. I go back to see him, sit down in front of him, and he says, how much you going to cost? And I said, now this is where I knew I had him, you know. Well, I was going for the big bucks. I said, well, you know, at the fire department, this is early 1973.
Right.
February of 73. I said, well, I make $12,000 a year at the fire department. Now, I know that really impressed him, you know. I said, and I can't quit the fire department for any less than I make in a whole year.
Right.
He said, well, we're going to give you 3 weeks on the picture, so that's $4,000. He said, that's $12,000. That's $4,000 a week. That's okay.
Just
nice.
Like that.
That's great. Wow.
And it took me about 2 minutes to figure out, hey, I should have asked for more. I don't know how much I left on the table, but I'm pretty sure now that I know about negotiation stuff.
Well, in 1973,
I'm pretty sure I left something out there, but
you made the right decision.
Later, I quit the fire department, went out. I was there 23 years.
You made the right decision because you were in one of the most classic movies of all time.
It is. It really is.
It's one of the best classic movies, comedies of all time.
It is a classic. And, you know, there are a lot of really big actors who've never been in a classic.
Exactly.
But it is a classic. I'm just so proud that Mel Brooks stayed on me and he begged me to be in the picture. I'm not saying that from my end.
No, I know.
I'm saying that from his. He will tell you, he begged me to be in the picture.
That's great.
And I didn't know what I was doing. I'd never done anything. I hadn't been in a grade school play when I did Paper Moon. I was.
He saw you in that part. That's all. He saw you in that part. He had the vision of it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just decided that was. He just decided that was the guy they wanted in. And going back to the lady who was in the casting department, who said there's no money in this part. That's you know, if you've been in the business for a while, you know that's standard operating talk.
Right.
Because sometimes those casting directors have an idea of someone else they'd like to slide into that part.
Right.
And I don't know if that's exactly the way it was, but it's sure a possibility.
Right.
Dave, you had a question?
I was just going to say, during Paper Moon, that's where you met Madeline Kahn, correct?
Yes.
And have you been friends? How long were you guys friends after that?
Forever. Till her death.
Yeah.
When she had already been on the picture about 3 weeks when I went on the thing for a week. So she had about a month on the picture.
Right.
And she finished on a Friday night, and I finished on the next night, Saturday night, and she had to get back to New York, so we were in St. Joseph, Missouri, which is close to Kansas City, and they got her a late-night flight back to New York because she had to be there the next morning. And so that evening, she came across the hall and knocked on my door. We were just right across the hall from each other at this big hotel. And she just said, I just want to tell you how much fun it was working with you, and I kept checking all that stuff, and all the things that you normally do when you end a picture with people.
Right.
And I didn't know the ropes, how that all worked, but she gave me a big hug, and she turned around to walk away. And she did walk away about 3 steps, then she turned back around. And she said, I know some things that a lot of people don't know. She was kind of, I don't know if she was a flower child or not, but she should have been. She had knowledge of stuff. I don't know.
Right.
And she said, you know what? I just know this. You and I are going to work together in this business one day. And I said, well, I don't think so. I'm going back to the fire department. She says, I don't know, but you and I are going to work together. I promise you we will. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. And she walked away, and she was gone. 3 months later, Mel Brooks and I make a deal. About 2 weeks later, after we'd made the deal, Mel calls me and said, listen, we're going to have all the cast come in. We've got people coming in from Detroit and New York, and we'd like for you to come out, and we'll sit around a conference table, we'll read the script, and then after we do that, we'll put you back on an airplane, you go back to Dallas. I said, oh, okay. So I go out, and by then I know my way around how to get through the offices of Warner Brothers. So I went down to Mel's office, and his secretary said, there's already some of them in there, just going in. There was a crack in the door, and it was a crack about 1.5 inches. And I looked through that crack, and there sat Madeline Kahn at the end of the desk. I opened the door real slowly, and she looked up at me, and she said, are you in this picture? I said, yeah, I am. And she jumped up and ran over to me and jumped in my arms and hugged me. and just, she said, I told you it was going to happen. I told you. And she had no idea that I was in the picture.
Right.
Wow, it's kind of scary. And we had some others. I did another picture with her called, what was it? Another Peter Bogdanovich picture.
Right.
Gosh, I forgot the name. Of it about a year and a half later, and then of course when she passed away, she called me before, about 6 months before, and told me she was sick and was going to get married. Just wanted to speak to me one more time.
Oh wow!
And she didn't say that I'm so sick. I'm going to go.
Yeah.
She just said, I just want to make sure I talk to you one more time. And she was just the nicest thing.
She was. I met her once. She was very nice.
Sweet lady.
Hey, Burton, is that true that... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm just blabbering.
No. Is that... I heard that you said this, that Blazing Saddles has been shown on TV more times than any other movie in history?
That is true.
Yeah.
And whatever is in second place is way back there. I mean, it's whatever it is not close. And you've got all the great pictures of the 40s and the 50s that have shown many times, but not as much as Blazing Saddles is showing somewhere today. It's just it's on all the time.
That means there's a check in the mail too.
I like to see it when it's on a big network along about 7 o'clock in the evening.
Sure.
That doesn't happen much.
Because they cut it up. They cut it up. They cut it all up. It's horrible when they edit it. It's horrible.
Oh gosh! And when they do that, it's really not even Blazing Saddles. I don't know what it is. But it's not Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, it's not.
The irony of it
It's
is
Smoky
that,
Saddles.
You know what? You can never... If they tried to make that today, that would never get done.
It would never get done.
Oh, couldn't be done.
Nope.
Mel knows that, and And if it could be done, we'd be on Blazing Saddles 10 by now.
I tell you, one of my favorite lines. One of my favorite lines is when you're taking a telegram from Slim Pickens. He gets hit in the shovel with the shovel in the head, and he goes, "Tell the governor I said ow."
Ow. And let's send wire to main office. Tell them I said ow.
Hey, Burton,
if you notice, next time you see the picture, you'll notice that I throw a rope around this hand cart to pull it out of the mud.
Out of the quicksand.
And I threw the rope, and of course I couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with that rope. So as soon as I did that, they had a stuntman there who could really rope anything, and he asked Mel, "Well, now would you like for me to just throw the loop around it, or would you like to have me throw a figure 8 around it?" He said, "Oh yeah, throw a figure 8 on it." So the next time you see it, you will see me throwing a figure 8 on that thing. Thank God for the stuntmen.
Burton, did they with the script now? Was there a lot of ad-libbing on the set, or you had to follow it? Because it seems like you.
Nope. Yeah, Mel had his. He wrote it. Well, he and 4 other people, but he wanted us pretty much to go with the script. But Harvey, he knew Harvey was, could do anything. So, and Mel could do anything. So the scenes that they do together, they just turned it loose. They'd say, "Okay, we're going to start here. We will finish here.
Right.
Let's just have a good time during the middle," and they did. They were great.
Yeah,
it's a great movie. I love it. It's still one of my favorites of all time.
Tim?
Burton, I got to tell you, if that movie hit the silver screen when I was in high school. So, and obviously nothing else was like it. Nothing. And to this day, I faintly remember though, from the famous campfire scene. Weren't you the first one to fart?
I am the first one in motion picture history. I am the first. It may have happened in some porno movie sometime, but Mel assured me that I was the first.
Wow.
I love
it. Burton, is that true that the studio exec, they wanted to shut the picture down because they thought it wasn't funny?
Oh yeah. After we were out on the desert in about the second week of, and I actually wound up with 4.5 weeks on the picture. I wound up making $25,000. I never thought about making that kind of money. Anyway, yes, they had the guy back then. All executives wore suits, and they came out in
the desert,
a great big long limousine to watch us for a couple of days. And I asked Alex, who was Mongo. I said, "Who are those guys?" They said, "Those are the execs in Warner Brothers. They're going to shut this thing down." I said, "What?" He said, "Well, that's what they were talking about doing." And I said, "Oh, no, I've already quit the fire department." And, he said, "I'm not worried about that." He said, "They'll pay you your money. Don't worry about that." But I was worried about it.
Mongo just porn in life.
That's what he is. Mongo like candy. Mongo like candy. He and I lived together while we did the show. The first 2 days I was out there,
that's funny.
Warner set me up at the Universal Sheraton for $17.25 a day is what it cost me. But I stayed there 2 days, and Alex said, "Hey, why don't you come over with me? I got this apartment over here that somebody, every time I'm out here, they just give it to me. It's 2-bedroom." And I drove out. Alex flew out. I had my car with me. He said, "It won't cost you anything to stay here. You got the car." So he and I were together for almost 4.5 weeks.
Oh, that's so cool.
And he was just the best guy to hang out with. I loved Alex Karras. He was great.
That was a great role for him, too. That was a perfect role for him.
Yes. And if you hear anybody ever say anything about Mongo.
Right.
I mean, I don't care if they were. You know that it came from Blazing Saddles.
Of course.
Yeah. There's nobody in the world named Mongo besides that guy. I mean, maybe some now, but not then.
Right.
That's right. Any other's just an imitator of him anyway. That's all.
That's right.
Candygram for Mongo.
That's
Candygram.
Burton, is that true that Mel Brooks had a fight to keep a lot of the scenes in?
Oh yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah. There was a lot of give and take. They took out some stuff, and Mel would say, "Okay," and he told me this later. I didn't know it at the time, although I could see that the script had changed a little bit, you know. But he said he had to fight him with a lot of stuff, and he said, "I gave in a few times. They gave in a few times." So,
What was your favorite scene in the movie? Your favorite scene?
my favorite scene is my first scene, which is opening the picture.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's whether I did it or somebody else did it.
Right.
I think it's the greatest opening scene for any picture. It just tells that this is going to be a crazy picture.
Oh, yeah.
And it was loaded with laughs. I mean, one line right after the other, whether it was my line or Cleavon's line or somebody else's line, it was funny stuff. So that will always be my favorite scene of any picture, any television show that I've ever done.
Hey, Mel had some lines in that movie too, if you remember.
Yeah, he played
Native American speaking Yiddish.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what he was saying. I didn't know the Schwarzes.
Plus the governor. He was the gov. He was the gov.
Yeah.
Burton, did you guys have any idea while you were making the film that it was going to turn into this huge
monster,
iconic movie?
Of course, I didn't have anything to base it on, but Mel, if Mel was right here and he was in on this conversation, he'd say, "I had no idea." He would tell you he had no idea. He would say, Warner Brothers gave me $3 million and told me to go have a good time. That's what he would tell you right there.
Wow. That was a big budget,
he was
too.
always, as surprised as anybody. And of course, he knew it was, or in his idea of comedy, he knew it was funny, but he didn't know that the masses would say it was hilarious, and it was.
Yeah, it's one of the.
It was good timing because westerns were big on TV.
Yeah,
so it was a good timing for it, you know.
And
the comedy
considering
they had a resurgence in the movies too.
And you know what forewalling is, I guess.
Yep. Right. Yep.
If we, when they open a picture, it opens in every theater in town. Well, back then there was no such thing as forewalling.
Right.
It opened at the Avco Embassy Theater over in West
Hollywood,
in Los Angeles, and it was there for 9 months.
Wow.
And after the I'd seen it a couple of times there. Well, most people that worked there knew me. They said, "Hey, anytime you want to come over, just bring all your friends." So I'd bring 8 or 10 friends every night, and they'd come on in.
Oh, that's great.
Funny.
It was great.
9 months, that's unheard of.
It was a classic before it even got released. It was a classic.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it was in the theaters while it was in the movie. That scene where they all go dance and all go out into the theater.
Now, Burton, during the film,
it was a great time. For me to be there. Yeah.
Now, when you were filming this, considering the fact that it was so politically incorrect, was there any tension, between the actors about it, or everybody was? Because back then I could tell everybody was like, nobody had it like nobody was thin-skinned back then. Everybody was like.
See, I don't know that there was not any tension, but in the first scene, which we actually did in the second week of filming, I was, I'm from Dallas, Texas. I've heard all the words, and I must say I've said a few of those words too. You know,
Right.
But when we were saying those, when I was saying all those words to Cleavon and all the workers on the railroad, I was having a little trouble saying that stuff.
Sure.
So when they were changing cameras after about 30 or 40 minutes, Cleavon said, "Hey, let's walk out here on the desert." Okay. So we both got a drink of water and walked out there, and he said, "Listen, I know you're having a little bit of trouble on this thing," and I think Mel had already noticed it and said something to Cleavon. I think that's right. And he said, "Listen, this is a movie. Whatever we're saying here has nothing to do with real life. I've heard and all these words before spoken about me, and that means something. But here on this set means nothing. So you say what you want to say, and if you want to add stuff, you go right ahead and do it."
That's very cool.
Thank you very much. And we started back to the scene, and he said, "But when they say cut, you better not say those words to me."
Now, you know, that was a class act for him to do that. That really was.
Now, did they threaten to dock you a day's pay for not saying it right?
They paid both ways.
Now, what's his? Our producer Vincent said he talked to you on the phone, and he said you were absolutely delightful. And he said that you were in one of my favorite movies, Fletch, with Chevy Chase.
Oh, that was a great movie.
You were playing one of the mechanics, and you
that
said
was great.
There was a whole story behind that whole scene with the ball bearings and.
Oh yeah, there was. It was in that the last part of that scene. You know, we're talking about ball bearings, and he's talking about and gets 5 quarts of Quaker State motor oil and all this stuff. And the reason, and in the script, it said, I think it said Texaco motor oil, or one of the other motor oils.
Right.
But he changed it to 5 quarts of Quaker State motor oil. He said that because he knew at the time I had a big commercial running, a nationwide commercial for Quaker State motor oil.
Oh, that's funny.
And Chevy just threw that in there. And, oh, man, after the picture was released, I heard from the Quaker State people, oh, they were so glad. It was a big deal for them.
We actually have the clip. Well, hold on one second. Let's see if we can get it up here. Here we are.
It's all ball bearings nowadays. Now, you prepare that Fetzer valve with some 3-in-1 oil and some gauze pads. And I'm going to need about 10 quarts of antifreeze, preferably Prestone. No, I'll make that Quaker State.
That's what it was.
I love your character.
Oh,
you're like, what you doing up there? Some stunt flying?
You doing some stunt flying or something? Listen, I don't think you're doing no singing with the Tabernacle Choir neither. You know?
I myself think it's the bypass line.
You know, I don't know what my IQ is, but I have played guys who I know don't have a real high IQ, but I feel really, and I think I feel too comfortable around them.
As long as you're not walking barefoot in Hoboken, you're okay.
Oh, you got that? Okay.
What was it like working with Chevy Chase? I heard,
We've heard things both ways.
Yeah.
We're not really sure what to think of it.
Yes. Oh, I was told. He said some people told me. Some people in the business said, "Oh, you will not like working with Chevy Chase. He's hard to work with. He wants things done his way, and if you do them any other way, he'll let you know, and he'll be all over you."
Let's see.
I loved everything about him.
Oh, good.
He was just a pro, and we ad-libbed everything, and he said, "You just throw it out there, and he said, I'll come back with something. And, and he says, I know that you can do it this way. Just go ahead, and we're going to play with it. We know where we're starting. We know where we're finishing. In between, we'll have a good time. I said, oh, okay, that was great.
Yeah, it's nice to hear. I like to hear stuff like that. It's nice.
Oh, it was fun. I've only had one acting class, which I took for about 12 weeks one time, but it was an improv class.
Oh, that's the best.
And I found out that, hey, that's right up my alley. I'm good at this stuff.
Yeah.
And I was told way back there, right after I got into business, I thought, well, maybe I ought to take some classes. I saw a couple of big teachers out there, and they knew of my work, and they said, don't change anything. Stay with what you've got. Right. We can't teach you anything. You just do what you do. They agreed with me that I would never do Shakespeare, but they said, if what you do comes from you, one of them told me, said, it comes from your heart. And I said, oh my gosh, that's good stuff then.
That's amazing. And Vincent also told me that, and I was very surprised at this, that, you see so many celebrities doing them. You actually just did your first convention this year or last year?
Big convention. I've done some small things here in Texas, but yeah, I did the
Chiller.
It was in New Jersey and Persephone.
The Chiller.
Yeah, the Chiller thing. Yeah.
You say it for me, Persephone or something. And we had a great time. We had a great time, and I'm getting ready to do one next week, another big one in St. Louis.
Oh, cool.
And it's going to be. It's called the St. Louis Pop Culture Con.
Oh, cool!
And it's going to be another good one. That they're going to have some nice people there. Dee Khan's going to be there.
Right.
My friend Scott Baio will be there.
Oh, wow!
And,
nice.
Just a whole Corbin Burns is going to come.
Right.
Tracy Gold, and Tracy Gold's father used to be my agent for about I don't know 8 or 10 years.
Right.
So I'm going to see a lot of people that I know. It's always fun to get out on the road and see some more people that I know.
I love going to those. You growing up, I guess
it's fun.
Yeah, maybe because I'm a little biased because we were on the radio, we entertain, and you see these celebrities that you would have never been able to interact with years ago. Now they're right here in front of you.
Yeah. I know Richard Dreyfuss was at the
he was at the Chiller,
one I did 3-4 months ago, and he and I had done some stuff before, golf tournaments and different things, so I knew him, but it was fun to watch the people interact with Richard Dreyfuss. It was almost, for some of them, it was almost like they were scared to talk to him. It was like, Mr. Dreyfuss, would you sign this to my aunt so and so? And gosh, Richard just say, well, sure. You got anything else you want me to decide? What do you want me to do?
He seems almost unapproachable, but then when you talk to him, he's like, very down to earth.
And he had a line. He had the longest line. His line went out the door, man.
Forget about it. Yeah.
Couldn't get near him.
Oh yeah. There were a lot of people there for him. And such a good guy.
Burton, what amazes you the most about when you meet fans like you? Because they seem, what I noticed, they seem to know more about you than you know about yourself.
My gosh, yes. They will bring up stuff in pictures or television that I don't even remember doing. I mean, I will remember it after they have told me exactly what it was that I said or did. The big movies that I've done, I know every line of those, but some of the other things, the lines kind of get jumbled up in my mind. Of course, it has a lot to do with being 80 years old too. It's fun to interact with the people, and I do a lot of stuff where we will have Q&A after I've done a talk,
Right.
And that's what I really like doing, because the Q&A is exactly what you and I, the three of us, are doing right now.
Right.
And I love to have people make me recall something. Sometimes when I have to really say, let me think about that. Oh, yeah, here's what happened.
Right.
I love doing that part of it.
Well, I tell you what, I had so much fun. I've always wanted, I've watched you on TV and movies for many years, and I've always said this guy is quite a character. I would love to meet him, and hopefully that you come to New Jersey again, I'll get you. But I think it was an honor to talk to you, and I thank you so much.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much. I'm just so proud that I got to do this. It's I love doing this sort of stuff. When you talk on the phone, you don't have to get go somewhere and go into a studio, and you just do it off the cuff, and I like that a lot.
What I
so
like.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yes.
It's been a wonderful time.
Burton, before we let you go, would you do us one small favor?
Let's do a station ID for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Station ID. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to introduce yourself and say you're listening to the Animal House Radio Show. On the
Animal House Radio Show.
Yes.
On the Hamilton Radio Network.
Oh, wait a minute. You know what I'm doing now, don't you?
I'm
writing this stuff
Yeah,
down.
you should write it down.
All right, resetting.
The Animal House
Radio Show.
Radio Show.
On the Hamilton. Yeah.
Show.
On the,
okay.
On the Hamilton Network.
On the Hamilton
Network. Resetting back to 1.
Back to 1. Yeah. That's not a take.
No.
Okay, you just tell me when.
Whenever you want.
Count yourself down and go.
Let's see. Wait a minute. Let me see. Animal House something show.
Radio show.
Radio show. Okay. Tell me when. Hey, folks. I'm Burton Gilliam, and you are listening to me on the Animal House Radio Show on the Hamilton Network. Listen, you just keep listening to the Hamilton Network, because some stuff is really going to happen on here.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, that was beautiful. Burton, God bless you.
Doodar.
Have a happy birthday.
Remember this. You cannot make a racehorse out of a jackass. Okay?
On behalf of us here and everybody,
I've been trying, but it ain't going to work.
On behalf of all of us here and all the men and women overseas, I want to thank you so much for entertaining us for the last half hour. It was
really
simply wonderful.
Well, thank you. I had a wonderful time, and maybe we'll do it again sometime.
Anytime you want. Anytime you want, call in.
Open door, yes.
Okay, I appreciate that. Okay.
Thank you
Talk
so
to you
much.
later, Dal.
Thank you, sir.
Gilliam,
Okay.
everybody.
Yeah.
All right, that was great.
How the heck? It just occurred to me within the last 60 seconds. None of us remembered to mention Slim Pickens.
Well, he brought it up a little bit.
He brought
Did
up
he?
a little bit, yeah.
I brought him up
It
too
just
once.
popped into my head
Gonna
seconds
need
ago.
a
I'm like,
shit- what was that line?
I gotta get a shitload. Someone go back and get a shitload of dimes.
Dams. Oh, you guys have had too much beans.
That's got to be one of the most
Classic. It's a classic movie.
That's going to be one of the movies that's quoted the most.
Definitely. It's up there.
That Animal House.
Out of all the comedies ever made in movies,
Animal House
it's
is
definitely in
great,
the top
yeah.
10.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. It's in the top 10.
Definitely. We should do a list like that one day. Most
Yeah.
quoted comedy movies of all time. There's got to be a list for that.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
Top
Do you have
100
your
movie
list?
quotes?
Do you have your list, Paul?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a list for everything.
No, but do you have
Yeah.
your list?
Goddamn right he does.
All right, what is it?
I have the list of the most top 10 grossing movies. Now, it's not anything you'd think. You'd think certain movies, this got to be in the top 10.
Basically or adjusted?
The top, the top 10 movies that made the most money. Box office blockbusters that made the most money. And a lot of them you're not going to believe.
Black Panther.
No, I got to go to the list. Wait a
All right,
minute. I'm not on the list here. I'll go to the list.
But he is prepared.
Let's go to the videotape.
We're going to the
Well,
videotape.
Black Panther made over $1 billion. I don't know if that's
Well, I'm just
what
telling
the,
you, I don't know, it might be in there. I don't
the
know.
criteria. There's a lot of the past couple of years. There's
Yeah.
been a couple of record breakers. You know.
Yep.
I know Titanic broke a record.
Avatar.
Avatar, yeah.
Black Panther is in there.
It's got to be. What number is that?
Black Panther is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
There's 10?
9. Black Panther is 9.
Because Infinity War beat it out like a month later, so.
But some of the movies in the list, you say, really? And some of the movies, you go, oh, yeah, makes sense. Avatar was number 1. You're right. Avatar was number 1.
Oh, really?
Titanic is number 2. So what do you call
Titanic.
it? Cameron has the 2 top 2s.
All right. Titanic's been out for a while, too. Okay.
Yeah.
You got to remember, they also had the re-release, the 3D
superhero
re-release.
movies.
There is some.
Let's see. Titanic, we said.
What the heck was that?
Amistad.
No.
Sounded like a knock.
Roots.
No, that was.
Come in. We have an open door. It can't be. Can't be
Well,
a
I'll
knock.
tell you what. Is there any way to judge in the inflation?
They're going by just dollar sales.
dollars.
By Blockbuster. By,
it's
by
gonna be
gross.
more-
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Star Wars is not one of the Star Wars. Wait a minute, see, I saw
New
that.
Hope.
Return to the
Star Wars: The Force Awakens was number
Force
is number
Awakens.
3.
Yeah.
It's number 3.
Force Awakens. Wow, that was a surprise.
Well, you got to
number
remember that everybody wanted to see it, even though it was a
Yeah.
disappointment. Everybody wanted to come out and see it.
I would have thought that like one of the older, like the Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, but
or
they didn't-
yeah, the
how much was
yeah.
the movie back then? They didn't make that
Yeah,
much
that's
back
What was
then.
that
so-
one? The Phantom Penis or something?
Yes.
Phantom
The
Menace.
Phantom Man-ass.
The Phantom Schwartz.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes around and wipes his junk on drapes. And nobody knows who he is. He's the Phantom.
Now there is a couple of superhero ones in here.
Civil War.
No.
Captain America: Civil War, Avengers.
Avengers. There's 3 Avengers in here.
Yeah, it's got to be Infinity.
4's not in yet. Infinity War's
Avengers?
got to be the highest.
Infinity War is number 4.
Yeah.
Infinity. Okay.
That's number 4.
Ultron is probably number 7.
Ultron is number 9.
Close.
No, you said Black.
I mean 8.
Panther.
I mean sorry, 8. 8. I'm sorry.
Ultron. And what's the Thor movie?
Marvel's the Avengers.
The regular.
It's number 6.
Oh, the regular, the first one, Avengers.
And then you have number 10 is Harry Potter and the Deadly Hallows Part 2.
Oh, wow.
You know
Well,
that
that's
that
not-
kid Radcliffe? Do you know he's actually opening up a series of waxing salons? He calls them Harry Potters.
Nice.
Yeah, he'll be all here. He'll be here all week, folks.
He has a
He's
pottery
here all
barn.
night.
He has a pottery barn
So
too.
we're missing number 5 and number 7. Okay.
Yeah.
How far back do they go?
Number 5 is maybe number 5 you should get. The other one you won't.
Well, again, Titanic's up there, and that's been out over 20 years, right?
Yeah. Number 5 is from does it say? 2015.
Oh wow.
It's not that old. It's a third one in
a series.
Series, yeah, third one.
Hangover 3?
No.
Oh, that was
there's
funny.
no comedies in here. There's no comedies.
There's no. That's a shame.
But
Yeah.
there is here.
Yes.
Robbinsville Towers of
Number
Hamilton
5 is
Radio.
Oh, the Expendables.
No. Number 5 is Jurassic World.
Jurassic World. You know, I never cared for those movies.
I liked. You know what? I did.
The first one I watched.
I like the first one, and I like the third one. I didn't
Yeah.
like the second one.
Yeah.
I like the first one.
All right, number
Yeah.
7.
Number
you
7
say that
is-
we're never gonna get.
I would never have got this one.
What year did it come out?
What genre is it? Is it sci-fi?
2015.
Oh,
It's
wow.
it's number 7 in a series of I don't know how many.
Oh,
Harry
7?
Potter?
It's got to be no Lord of the Rings.
No.
then. No, what else has 7?
Think about it.
From
It's
2015.
Creed?
Yeah.
That's like the 10th, 7th.
Revenga.
Revenga!
So what the hell has 7 episodes?
well, I'll just tell you because you're not gonna get.
No,
it.
no, no.
Please.
Wait.
Or not.
Oh, wait a minute.
There might be 8 of them.
Star Wars?
No.
Oh, 8 of them. It's got to be 8 is enough then.
Gotta be. What the hell has 8?
I'm not sure if it has 8. I just know this is number 7.
Octopus has got like 8
All right.
testicles,
All
right?
What is it? I give up.
Furious 7.
Ah,
Oh,
that's Fast and
yeah,
the
yeah.
Furious.
That's the one where The Rock came in.
Yep.
That's why he
Can
did
you
Racing Cannonball Run.
Is that the one where
the
Paul
rock?
Walker died? Is that
Yeah, that could be it too, yeah.
And number 11, honorable mention 11 was Star Wars: The Last Jedi. And
yeah.
number 12 was Frozen.
I believe that.
yeah.
Because of
that's-
kids, yeah, because of kids.
But I tell you, you said I believe all of these because this is basically all like in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them are new, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because all these superhero movies are like breaking records and stuff. So
yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
I know.
The only one from the 1990s was Titanic, 1997.
yeah.
Everything else was from the 2000s.
But and that for that time, man, that broke. I think they did $1 billion in like a week.
Yeah.
So
And that was just in the sodas and stuff because it's a 3-hour movie, you know.
Yeah.
it's a 3-hour tour.
A 3-hour tour.
Now, Tim, are you ready to do your little way the F out there news?
Yeah, let's give this a shot.
Formerly
here.
done by Mr. Ed
Give him the
Ruffalo.
theme song. Give him the theme
This is
song.
a
Yeah,
tribute.
yeah. All right.
got the theme right
Hold on. Let me get it.
Ladies
up.
and gentlemen,
Ladies and gentlemen.
the way to fuck out their news with the Book of Eli, Tim Eli.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Now get yourselves naked. I'm going to do some news here. Samurai man attacks ice cream van. Just like something out of a Stephen King novel, cocaine and whiskey fueled the rampage of a man who terrorized a local neighborhood has been successfully captured after a 12-hour Hey,
Howard?
Yeah,
Dr.
British.
Howard?
I should do more British. A 12-hour manhunt for the suspect with 2 periods. Jamie Tickle was drunk and hot. No!
He had 2 periods? Wow.
I'm telling you, drunk and high on cocaine when he approached a local ice cream vendor in Liverpool over the weekend. According to eyewitnesses, Tickle stumbled his way towards the van while muttering gibberish to himself. He disregarded the other customers who were waiting patiently online and pushed his way to the front and asked for a SpongeBob SquarePants ice cream cone. He was told there were none left. Tickle attempted to sing the theme song for SpongeBob out loud as onlookers watched in fear and astonishment. It was at this point things took a turn for the worse. After hearing the disappointing news, Tickle screamed, "No!" and then ran back over to his truck and pulled out a samurai's sword.
Jesus Christ.
And he started running back towards the crowd of people.
Sure this wasn't John Belushi?
Yeah, right?
I got $1 million of you all to myself. I want a doctor to take your pick. Customers seeing this fled the scene in a panic. What kind of a car is a Panic? Must be a larger one.
It's an AMC.
The police were immediately notified as he began to scream out unintelligible expletives. Fail!
It's
Could be
just
one
like
of them.
No Filter Paul does every Friday.
He started slashing the air with a sword. Witnesses say he was enraged at the fact that they were out of the ice cream he requested. He struck the ice cream van several times, causing severe damage to the truck and headlights. It had headlights? Oh, headlights. Sorry. The ice cream vendor was stuck in his van, frozen in fear, and afraid to leave the truck while Tickle was still at large.
Tickle.
Yeah, I could tickle me homo. I could be
That's
wrong.
so funny.
After a few minutes of his rampage, Tickle could hear police sirens in the distance and decided it was time to split. Banana split, ice cream.
I get it.
It took almost 12 hours to apprehend Tickle, who was found hiding behind some garbage bins in Merseyside, laughing to himself and reading a smut magazine. Tickle was jailed for 2 years and 8 months at Liverpool Crown Court for affray and possession of a weapon.
Tim, were you in Merseyside reading a smut magazine?
Ferry lives in Mersey. Judge Stephen Everett, who was in the Doctor show back in the 60s, right? Or was that Chad? Said the attack came out of the blue and we may never get to the bottom of why he did what he did. Hello, he must have been married. He said, although no one was injured, the attack caused psychological devastation. The judge also said he was unsure whether Tickle, 32, fully understood the seriousness of what he had done.
What a name. Just a name alone.
Do not fuck with a man and his
Beautifully
ice
done,
cream.
Tim.
It's a great name just for shits and
You
giggles.
were like a poet and you didn't even know it.
Hey, he turns to me, turning in, I'm turning down, I'm turning in, I'm turning around, I'm turning Japanese. I think I'm turning Japanese.
That's amazing.
Took me a lot of years to find out what that was about. I didn't realize the guys did the Asian eyes when they were jerking off, you know?
Paul, your words of the week?
Words of the week. Ascertain
Uh-huh.
and a tad.
A Tad. I like
A tad.
That sounds like somebody's name. Tad Hunt. Oh, no, that's Tab Hunter.
Tad Everett.
That was Tab Hunter.
Dave, what do you got going on?
Yeah, I don't
much?
remember right now.
Uncomfortably Funny podcast Monday night.
Yeah,
7
this
to 9.
Monday night. We're not going to be back on Sunday this week again. Last week we had some scheduling conflicts, so we did a Sunday show.
I was going to wonder. I was going to say, wait, you're,
Ooh,
you're early
scheduling
here.
conflicts.
Yeah, so this week we have
How do you have scheduling
John
conflicts?
Pavermo on.
Can I ask you
from,
something?
New York comic.
Who is it?
John Pavermo.
Oh, yeah, John
Paul
Pavermo.
Vermo, okay.
He's from
Yeah,
Tom's
Pavermo.
River. He's
Yeah.
from Tom's River. I know John.
Little short guy with glasses, looks like Harry Potter.
Kinda, yeah.
He's a good guy.
I
Nice
like
guy.
John. Yeah,
Seems
okay.
nice.
Yes.
Did
Tell
you
him
know
I
he's
said
opening
hi.
up a series of waxing salons called Harry Potter's?
Yes,
Tell him I said
love that
hi.
joke.
Tell Tom I said hi, John.
I shall.
How can you have scheduling conflicts when it takes place in your house?
I didn't have the conflict.
Oh,
with this.
okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna say,
The conflicts were outside the compound.
thinking maybe your son's having a party or something.
Yeah, that would have been better.
But really, so Perry Como's on the show. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Mr. Tim Eli, Saturday.
I am honored, for real, to
At
be
the-
on a Carlo Balerio production, man.
Yes, it's for the
Yeah.
Beechwood Yacht Club, and it's going to be
Nice.
Goomba Johnny, myself, and Mr. Eli.
It's a nice, small, intimate setting, too.
Yes.
You're going to love it.
nice. And Paul, where are you this weekend?
I'm home.
Are you doing a wedding?
I'm
right?
home. I'm going to a wedding on Long Island, my grandson.
So you're leaving now?
I'm leaving now. I got to feel the room. Got to feel the
The
room.
Bell Parkway's jammed up. You better leave now.
I get an early start.
Carlo, all time, what is your favorite movie line? Any movie, any genre.
Well, that's so,
hard.
We could do a whole show.
Used
just on
cars. No one ever died with $50.
Mine is the crying Italian kid in Saturday Night Fever. I didn't want to fuck her. That's a classic.